What's up, Kingdom? Are you ready for Big Boom? Yeah, that's my new Warlock build. And it's all started with this note over here. I wanted to make Warlock build with only one big bolt, like this. As always, before I jump into skills and passives, let me show you how this build plays out and what you can expect from this. So normally this big bolt not looking really great. Look, it's just some damage, but everyone dying, that's okay. But when you combine it with full build, it's actually crazy. Everyone just one-shotted. Sustain is insane. We basically one-shotting enemies in a second. For some reason we don't see damage numbers, but they like being literally obliterated by like every ability, mostly by Big Boom. That build synergizes really well, and my favorite part is actually that you need to press some buttons. It's not just press one button and see what happens next. Still, combinations is a lot easier than playing Runemaster. Mana management is a lot easier. So if you wanna try this Warlock yourself, watch closely, because I will explain everything from skills passive to actually what gear you want to have. And let's start. Alright, so as always, first of all we're starting with skills. When you start playing this build, you will be Acolyte and then you need to go into Warlock. As Acolyte, you're interested in 3 skills to get them in your skills and specialization, and that will be Transplant, Bone Curse, and Rip Blood. So it's our Traversal skill, our Blink ability, Damage Multiplier, and also Sustain and Damaging ability. While you're playing Acolyte, I recommend going with Summon Bone Golem and Summon Skeletons as your additional skills, so you just got additional bodies, they will help you like clear some enemies when you're just jumping and not killing them. And we're starting with our main damaging ability, not for this build especially, but we will need this later on. You can level it however you like, but when you going into Warlock finally, so when you get in your Warlock specialization, getting some points and unlocking Chaos Bolts, you want to have Chaos Bolts already over here, and then you're going into this tree. You want to make Rip Blood 0 mana cost ability. That's our main idea at first. So that's why we need 3 points in Hemomancer to increase casting speed, and then we can spend 3 points in Thirst. It will reduce mana cost and increase casting speed even more. Now our ability will cost 0 mana. And now we're going to the left over here and getting 2 points in Quenching. It will give us more health when Blood Orbs come to us, because every time you cast this ability, if it hits enemy, it looks like this. Basically, there will be Blood Orbs that will come to you. But we get 2 points over here to get next node. So now Blood Orbs also will grant us mana when we're directly casting this spell. So it will be our mana regeneration road. Then, as quickly as possible, get Arcane Absorption, 2 points in here. And that's nice buff. Basically, when you're casting this spell directly, you gain a buff that will increase spell damage for every spell that scales with spell damage. And spoiler alert, we got every spell that scales with spell damage. And then we get 1 point in here, Rip Spirit. So Rip Spirit will convert physical to necrotic damage of this Rip Blood ability, and initially it will look like blood spell, so it will be red, but now it's necrotic. And then I recommend getting like around 5 points in Quenching to get these Blood Orbs faster to you. And also you can max out Arcane Absorption to increase this buff, and maybe 1 point in Run Dry just to increase damage of this spell. Or if you don't need damage, you can get Hematology for more sustain. So we scale with Intelligence, or all our skills will be scaled with Intelligence, and this Hematology will be nice node to have. You will have pretty nice damage with high casting speed with this like spell. You can go through early game easily. You don't need to like be crazy about mana management, because it will cost 0 mana basically. And then we're going into next spell that you will probably unlock. It's Bone Curse. So Bone Curse is really cool spell. You apply curse to targets, and this curse will stay for 8 seconds. When these targets will be hit by any mean, basically by your minions or by you, it will do damage. And damage will be tripled if you inflicted hit yourself. Because we're using no minions in this Warlock build, basically you're doing this curse, it won't do any damage. But then when you're starting to hit your enemies, it will be tripled damage of this curse. And again, we want to switch to necrotic damage, but you don't need to rush it too soon, so you can start with left node just to increase damage of this skill, so get like 5 points in Iron Maiden, and then you can go into this bottom part, so 4 points in Conflation, it will increase area of this curse, then Sigil of Mortality, now you will inflict Mark of Dash, which will increase damage by 25%, and then 2 points in Reaper's Mark to increase Mark of Dash duration, and normally it stays for 2 seconds, but with this duration it will stay for like around 5 seconds with 3 points over here, and this makes Mark of Dash basically almost same duration as Bone Curse. And of course, after 2 points in Reaper's Mark, gain Misery. Now from physical we change into necrotic damage. That's kinda everything you need. You can have a little bit of armor shredding in the beginning. Now I don't even know what to take over here. Maybe in the end game, instead of armor shredding, you should go to the top side and get a little bit of brittle bones to get kill threshold. Actually, I'll do it right now. So I need only 1 point in Snail, and then I will level up and get 3 points over here. But again, that's because I got additional stuff. I got additional 3 points possible for this spell. So your complete build will look like this. We got mana efficiency, casting speed over here, and chance to chill. Just a little bit additional debuff. Next, let's go to our traversal skill and what we want over here. And in early game, most of the time you just want to use it as often as possible. So get left node, fleeting form, casting speed and cooldown recovery speed increase, and also acolyte favor. This will grant you haste when you enter your teleport. Basically, this teleport is creating body and you teleport into the new body while your old body disappears and blow up, so like this. And the skill also doing nice damage, so damage is really impressive too. And after you got these 2 nodes, you want to have Rain of Blood to create additional body for more detonation. Also, I like Violent Emergence, again, kill threshold, 15%, really useful stuff. When you're just teleporting on some enemies, it will instantly kill them most of the time. And also Doombringer, you will cast Bone Curse on arrival. So that's really good, you can just teleport on enemies, you don't need to cast Bone Curse, it will be automatically casted. And also, you need this node over here. So 1 point in Scarlet Rain to increase area, and also 1 point in Ethereal Body to transform physical damage to necrotic damage, to basically finish your build. And then you can have some points in top, so reduce health cost, because it will cost health, not mana, for teleporting, and very useful when you want to save yourself when you're out of mana. And Bone Armor, next node. I got all points over here. After teleporting, you get in armor, 300, nice amount of armor, and you will take less damage. Just flat, less damage taken. Very nice one. Also, I like to get 2 points in Plated Bone to increase Bone Armor effect. And basically, that's our early game character. We're using like teleport location, casting Bone Curse if we don't have node that automatically casting, or enemies may be outside of area of effect of Bone Curse. And then you just standing and casting Rip Blood on your enemies. Then you finally will unlock Spirit Plague, but you don't need to use it before you switching into Warlock. But after you switch into Warlock, let's first of all talk about our Chaos Bolts. So again, my build relies on really crazy Chaos Bolts that's becoming one big bolt. To get one big bolt, you need to go to the top right, get 2 points in Chaos to increase casting speed and projectile speed, then 2 points in Pandemonium to get chance for increased area, really big area, and then 1 point in Catonic Aurora. This will give you extra projectiles, but will increase mana cost. Just 1 point in here for the beginning, and then Mana Anarchy. It gives chance to consume more mana when you're casting the spell, but it will increase damage. That's nice, but you will be mana deficient in the beginning of your journey. And then Chains of Betrayer. Finally, we get in one big bolt, we increase in damage per projectile, area per projectile, and at the same time, instead of doing additional projectiles, we kinda making one big bolt. And area is really big, really big area actually. with a chance of like bigger area as the same blows. And before getting more points in every node, you want to max out Catonic Aurora later in the game. First of all, you need to get all points in all other nodes I have. So it's 1 point in Condemned Chaos to get chance to inflict damage on enemies. It will be useful for our passives, more on that in a minute. And also 1 point in Doom Vindication. Chaos Bolts will deal more damage, and hits will deal more damage to cursed enemies. So now I see, and I guess you know where we're going. Normally Chaos Bolts not doing really big amount of damage, but when you curse your enemies with Bone Curse and do Chaos Bolt, it will do multiplicative damage, it will just scale crazily. But at first just get 1 point in here and get 1 point in Excited Libation. With high intelligence you have a chance to cast Reblood at target enemies. Then get 1 point in Devour the Damned. Chaos Bolts hits against cursed enemies will regain health and mana, and also 1 point in Seed of Chaos. You will have little chance to recast this spell automatically when you targeting enemies. So what we have right now, we got ability when we cast these Chaos Bolts, be recasted, they will regain more mana, and also they got chance to cast Reblood, and as you know, Reblood right now giving us more mana. So now we kinda get chances to replenish our mana easily. We still will get out of mana from time to time. As you can see, when we're fighting against 0 enemies, it's just like 10 bolts and that's it. But when you're actually fighting enemies, you will regain mana pretty much every hit, and you won't be so mana deficient. And that's when you want to use and level up Catonic Aurora. It will just instantly, every level, increase your damage dramatically. So what to do when you're out of mana actually? When you're out of mana, you're just casting Reblood. So if you're out of mana, just cast Reblood a few times and you will replenish mana really easily and really fast. And also our last spell, Spirit Plague. So Spirit Plague, it's Necrotic Curse. What it's doing, basically you're cursing a target and they will take necrotic damage over time, which lasts 3 seconds. And also if target dies, it will spread to nearby targets. And honestly, this spell got really low mana cost. We can basically spam it as much as we wish. But because we mostly will be focusing on damage from Chaos Bolts and multiplying this damage, we're not going into damage over time situation. So this spell will be scaling with necrotic spell damage and also with intelligence, also with curse damage. And we will using this spell mostly for gaining mana again, but also it will do nice damage. So how we can use it? First of all, we need 2 points in Pestilence. It will increase global damage over time. That's kinda nice stuff. Still, we got some damage over time. And then we want to go to the top part. Get 2 points in Hemorrhage. Now you will give bleed stacks to your enemies, but also you need next 2 points in Execution, something like that. Bleed inflicted by Spirit Plague has additional bleed penetration, but it will inflict bleed stacks on you. That's a bad stuff, so when you just standing still and starting to cast the spell, look at the bleed stacks, they basically stacking one on another, and if you just stand still and recast this stuff, probably it won't really be nice for you, because you can just stand still and die in spawn location. But anyway, we're getting next 2 points in Defilement. Now we're gaining mana on kill. That's a nice addition. And where we can go? We can go to the bottom to increase mana efficiency and duration. Then we can go to the bottom right to get increased casting speed and increased duration. And also then we can get Conductor of Plagues. Spirit Plague is now a combo skill. Directly recasting the skill will cause up to 3 infected enemies to spread Spirit Plague to other enemies around them. So when you casting it a few times, it will spread a lot more. Another way where you can go into the Snail Road and get this slow debuff on enemies, get 1 point in it, and then Enfeeblement, 2 points in here, because after Enfeeblement, which will inflict Frailty debuff at enemies, so they will deal less damage to you. You want Plague of Ice. Now you will have increased spell necrotic damage per your point of intelligence with this spell, so it will become a lot more powerful. At the same time, you can go into Contagion. It will give you more mana cost for this spell, but now you can cast it in area. Still, I don't like this road a lot, So instead, I actually recommend getting points in Conductor of Plagues and also this mana efficiency stuff. It's like more valuable nodes. And that's it basically. Our build is ready. So before I'm going to passives, and I will explain like how all of them work and increase power of our build, let's go to the dummy location and I will explain how your combos works. Basically, you will keep transplant for traversal skills. So when you need to like teleport through the map, run faster, you will use it. Or maybe escape enemy abilities. Don't use it as like damaging stuff. And basically when you're fighting enemies, you got one easy combo. You go in with Bone Curse, which will inflict Bone Curse on your enemies. You don't need to press it more than once. As you can see, there is no additional effects. And after Bone Curse, you're doing Spirit Plague twice. So it's Bone Curse, Spirit Plague, Spirit Plague. Now your target dummy will start taking damage. And normally Chaos Bolts doing around like 700 damage and also some damage over time, as you can see. I will explain why later. But damage is really nice if stacked with other stuff. So full combination is basically Bone Curse, which will give debuff for 8 seconds. That will double damage enemies with like mostly like every attack we're doing by ourselves. Then double Spirit Plague, because we want to spread it on other enemies and they will be affected by Bone Curse at the same time. And then just stand and spam Chaos Bolts. So Bone Curse, double Spirit Plague, and then Chaos Bolts. And damage is like insane. Now you're out of mana. You inflicted like a large amount of damage. What to do now? And now we just stand and cast Rip Blood. I remind you that we got this Arcane Absorption buff, which will increase spell damage for 6 seconds. And that's basically another combination, and while this everything like goes together. We're getting debuff, double curse, spamming stuff that's doing damage over time, we're out of mana, and now we're starting to cast this spell. The spell is not doing great damage, just like 2k right now, but look, now it falls off to basically 1k. Why? Because every time you cast the spell, you're increasing your overall spell damage. You're getting this buff, it's stacking like almost unlimitedly. And look, now I'm doing around like 1k damage with this spell. And that's my lowest damage spell. I already stacked it like to 3k damage. And imagine damage on Spirit Plague when you get in these stacks. So just look what we're doing right now. We're just like doing insane amount of stuff and insane stacking basically. And now it's around like 6k damage like per second overall. I don't know. So we just casting all spells and then we just bombarding everyone's scene with fireballs, and that's crazy, guys. It's like, I don't know, it's like insane damage, and my character is definitely not in the best gear right now. So let's go to passives. Okay, you're starting as a Acolyte, you want 20 points in it, so we're going with basic Blood Aura to increase damage, and also Forbidden Knowledge to gain Intelligence and Necrotic Resistance, and then Stolen Vitality to just get some Vitality and increase minion health. So I'm not sure about this. I think Vitality is more important. You can have Bone Aura instead to get more armor, but I don't think it's really important. Or you can get Blood Pact. It will drain your health, but you will have increased damage. So 4 points in Blood Pact will give you 40% more damage. So let's just check it. Now we got 919 damage, 919. If we get in 1 point in here, basically it's 934, and with 4 points, it's 977 damage per second. I don't know, I'm not feeling like it's really big increase. That's why really, I'm not recommending this node. Instead, later you will get Eye of Damnation, but later, when you level up your Warlock. That's basically like super late game stuff. It will increase your necrotic damage, that's it. And then you're basically going into Warlock tree and getting all these nodes. So, you want to increase your fire damage and necrotic damage. And if you're not aware, Chaos Bolts dealing necrotic and fire damage. So that's kinda like super basic node for our Warlock. Then Soul Stealer will increase mana regeneration and cooldown. We just need 5 points in it to activate passive. That will give us chance per curse to gain mana on hit. We doing like 2 curses, so we get 25% chance to gain mana on hit. Really nice for mana regeneration with Chaos Bolts. Then, because you're using a lot of curses in this build, you can have little points in Unholy Torment. I'm sticking with 2 points in here to increase area for curses and spell damage. And also Occultist Mind, gain some intelligence, but only get them to get to this top node, Spirit Leech. So Spirit Leech will give you Health Leech on hit, but at the same time against cursed enemies you will have double spell Leech. That's really nice and useful for our sustain, so get some points in here, and then you will get finally to this node that will give you intelligence and vitality, so really useful stuff to increase our damage even more. But here we are, our most important node, Chains of Ruin. Now you will have chance to damn targets. Also after 5 points in this node, you will have chance to chain all damned enemies to the ground for 2 seconds. It can be useful in some combinations against powerful enemies, but we get 5 points to get to the Ashen One. It will increase necrotic damage and elemental damage at the same time. Again, we're casting fire and necrotic spell damage with our Chaos Balls, so it's useful node. And also after 5 points you gain in Ignite Overload or Damned Overload. All ignited and damned enemies will be inflicted with Witch Fire, which basically will burn them. That's what you saw. When I'm using this stuff, targets burning. And then we're finishing with 5 points in Grim Hilt Domain. Now the Witch Fire will spread among a lot of enemies, will do more damage, so pretty nice stuff. And basically then you can finish all nodes like you see on the screen right now, get 8 points in Occultist Mind to get intelligence. Also you can go into protection stuff on the bottom over here, so increase armor and health. Get 5 points in here to activate bonus, more armor per curse on target. Then 5 points in Dark Protection to get less damage per curse on target for survivability and sustain. Then 2 points in Encroaching Darkness. It will make your enemies deal less damage over time, again nice for sustain stuff. And Duskbringer. It will make easier to fight against bosses and elites, and also it will give you more spell damage for curses. So while you can basically get some points in Unholy Torment for more spell damage for curses in the area, in these points, you can basically level up all the skills if you want. I personally like to go to the Leech tree, because if you don't know, when you pick in your mastery of Warlock, you still can level up Necromancer and Leech trees, but they will be locked behind this wall. You can't get more points in it. And also you won't be able to get Reaper Form, its unique Leech ability, from mastery. And in Leech tree I like to get Apocrypha for increased intelligence and mana regeneration. You can actually get it a lot earlier if you want, when you need mana regeneration. And also Grasp of Fate to increase necrotic damage. That's basically how our build works. It looks really kinda nice and fine. And for items, I recommend getting this Jurula Sterdial, it's ring from Juldria, it's boss. Also Isadora Tomb set. I'm still hunting for this set. It will give you a lot of armor, casting speed, but also it will give you a chance to apply Damned on hit. And also with full set you will have necrotic penetration and mana efficiency with necrotic spells. That's what I'm hunting right now with this build, and it looks pretty amazing. You can find my loot filter in my Google Sheet. Just go over there, copy it, and when you're adding filters, paste from clipboard. That's it. So you should just copy my filter and that's it. And also in the build filter there will be this stuff. You can go into edit mode and you will see this link. In the description it's last Epoch Tools build planner link with a little bit different allocation of points, a little bit, because right now I changed it a little bit already. So better screenshot from the video. But you will see complete item build for this build. So I hope you enjoyed this pretty unique Warlock build and see you in the next videos, guys.